my name is Dan, and this is my channel, Engelgeist. This is the January 2020 Tarotscopes for all three air signs. That would be anybody with a moon, a sun, or rising sign in the signs of Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. I'm going to start with my Geminis and do those, and then move into Libra, and then into Aquarius. They will all be in this video. You'll have to either watch the whole video to get to your sign, or hopefully I'll put in timestamps. Sorry, we're already in January, but I had some stuff come up this holiday season that I just got in the way of me getting this out early. So I'm trying to get them out now. Those of you that might be tuned in live, either at Facebook, actually only on Facebook, if you're trying to comment, I don't have my chat box up, so I can't see your comments right now. I'm not ignoring you. It's just I want to concentrate on doing these tarotscopes, and I don't have time to engage and answer questions. So don't take it personally. You can comment or talk to one another, but I cannot see whatever it is that you're saying, just so you know. So I'm not ignoring you. Ways you can support the channel, if you would like, please give me a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe. You can also share this video out to your friends. You can follow me on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333. And that's available to you also. So let's see what's going on for Gemini. Sun, Moon, and Rising for January of 2020. So the first card, I call this sort of the U card. It sort of is like the general overall view of where you're going to be operating from most of January. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will be this, this won't be your only card that you're operating from, but it's the general overall view of where you're at, where your default setting is at, how you're being most of the month of January. So this is the Four of Cups. This is an interesting card. To me, this is about, cups represents the emotions, right? But I look at this man and he's at a table and it looks like he's looking at a map. And it almost looks to me like my Geminis are going to be in this place of maybe sort of trying to figure some things out. This feels like a lot of plans are about to happen, or there's a lot of plans for the new year that we're maybe putting into effect or starting to begin to want to build upon. And we're doing that not only mentally, because I look at this man, the way that he's so focused down on this plan or this map here, but we're also like feeling it emotionally, and that's sort of the yellow energy that I feel like is coming from behind him, is the intensity with which the Geminis are going to be creating in the beginnings of the year are of note, let's say. This feels like a very intense card to me. It feels very direct. It feels very assertive is kind of a strange word, but it does feel assertive in a way. It feels like if there's any Geminis that I have that are coming into 2020 a little bit confused, this card feels like that confusion is going to sort of hopefully melt away for you, and you will be able to keep a clear mind and a clear idea of what it is that you want and how it is you want to go about getting it and how it's supposed to feel. Also, this being a 4, I love the 4 Cups here, which to me represents this idea or goal of stability. So whatever it is that you're looking at emotionally, how you think that's going to make you feel better, how you're going to go about creating that for yourself, it's going to bring about, it's all in this effort to produce this stability that you're seeking, that is kind of high on your list of priorities in the beginning of this year. Okay, the next card is the foundation card. This is sort of what is below you, what everything is built upon, why things are the way that they are coming into this month. So this is the Knight of Wands. And when I look at this, I instantly think, first off, Wands deals with the element of fire, which is kind of like your complementary element, since you guys are the element of air. But I feel like this feels like maybe the last bit of 2019 was a bit of a, how do I want to say, like dangerous, when I look at this knight, to me, he feels like he's on precarious ground. Yes, we've come across and we've made it, and knights are strong and protective, right? They're these wonderful sort of noble servants that sort of protect the realm. And I feel like we maybe have had need in the recent past to sort of protect whatever it is that we do have, but it hasn't been an easy journey, is the feeling that I'm getting from this knight card. It feels like there might have been sort of areas where you were felt insecure or felt unable to maybe know what the next right step was to take, but you've gotten it yourself to 2020, and I like that there's a stark contrast between these two cards where I feel like this horse is a little bit scared stepping from, this like stone to stone kind of which step do we take, but we were brave in 2019 like this knight, and we connected to our spirit. We used our spiritual strength, our inner strength, to get us to this place where now emotionally we can start to really look at what it is we want, how it is we want to go about getting there, how it is we want it to feel, and bring in that stability that we were sort of maybe lacking in the recent past in this Knight of Wands card. Now I'm going to move this up above here just so we can see the next card. The next card is the Soul or Spirit card. This card tells me a bit about sort of where your soul or spirit is at during all of this. This card also just gives me a little idea of like what your spirit's trying to bring through, or where it's trying to direct you. I love this. This is the Nine of Coins. Coins is Pentacles, which deals with earth energy. I love that he's he's sort of this knight energy that I see in this Knight of Wands. We have this knight standing here with all of these coins kind of lined up, ready to go. He's sort of looking at his wealth. There feels to me like there is an ease and a calmness that is coming from the spirit for my Geminis. There is this idea of creating, and this also stems from this Four of Cups, this stability that I see in this Four of Cups, this emotional, sort of this building and creating with our emotions and our intent to like really look at the idea of what it is that we want. Is it a loving relationship? Is it a great job? Is it a stable home life? Whatever it is that we want, we're really like seeking it out in a very emotional and way of bringing it in a very stable way, and from that our spirit is backing us up from this very sort of I want to say balanced, practical, easeful, and abundant perception, right? So there's an abundance in this Nine of Coins that I feel like our spirits, for the Geminis at least, our spirits want us to have the abundance that we're seeking, and I really feel like this could be a very big month in the setting up of that abundance. This might be a long-term goal of the spirit, is kind of what I'm feeling and hearing. So whatever abundance looks like to you, if that's like a great job where you're highly valued, if that's a loving relationship where you're fully validated, if that's like better friendships, or whatever it is that you're looking for, I think that your spirit is really lining things up to help you find them. You have to trust that and know that you've come through a little bit of a rough patch with this Knight of Wands in the recent past, but you have the skill set, you have the wherewithal, you have the direction, you have the clarity to kind of emotionally start to bring it about for yourselves. Starting this January. Now these next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These are cards that sort of let us know what's sort of influencing us around us. They can be sometimes people or events, sometimes things more vague, like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us and either helping us or hindering us. So you have on one side the Two of Swords. Interesting, because swords is our element of air. This is the first air card we're seeing. And we have the Five of Coins. So when I look at this, it sort of feels like this is energy of fear surrounding you guys. The Two of Swords to me, swords usually represents unions, or I'm sorry, twos usually represent unions to me, right? Like the coming together of either, yourself with your higher self, yourself with another specific person. But for me, what's really drawing my attention in this card today is her blindfold. She is grounded and trying to stay like strong in what she believes, but I feel like there might be a lot of people around you telling you can't have the things that you're trying to create. This Five of Cups also gives me this sort of same sort of vibe. We have this 9 of coins. I'm not 5 of cups. I'm sorry. It's 5 of coins. We have this 9 of coins up here, which says to me that your spirit really wants you to create this sort of abundance, whatever that may be. And there might be people around you that are telling you you can't have that, that they don't have it for themselves, or they live in a place of lack. Therefore, the message that you're getting from them is that it might be contradictory to your ability to believe that you can create it. But with this 4 of cups in the center, you have to believe that, you have to believe that you can create it. If you don't, then you're going to sort of allow what I see as like sort of this, a little bit of this doubt that's happening here. But this is other people's doubt. This is other people's lack. This is other people's sort of, I don't want to say misfortune, but this family feels sort of a little bit misfortunate, and like they're struggling to get by, they're struggling to make ends meet, they're struggling to make things happen, right? And so as we watch that happen to the ones that we love, or we listen to people talk about, oh, well, I tried to do this and it didn't work out for me because of this, so you might want to be careful. Don't buy into that stuff. That might be some of this blindfold that she's wearing here. Like maybe if we actually turn a blind eye to it and turn our head away and use the element of this 2 of Swords as, you know, because the air element of swords is our home element, utilize that and firmly plant our swords in the ground and stand true to what it is that we know to be true, and begin to really channel the energy of this 4 of Cups. Look at this man. He is like looking over the plans. He has everything in front of him. He's just figuring out how to go about creating it and making it happen. So I feel like your guys' center is really good, strong, directed, even though you might have felt a little bit doubtful in the recent past. Don't allow that sort of foundation or that centeredness get riled up, because there's a real gift that's trying to be manifested at a soul level, a real abundance that's trying to come through this. I don't know if it's this month, it might be for some of the Geminis during this whole year, but there is this abundance that's happening here that I think that you guys are going to want to see come to pass. Now, this is the last card, and this is what I call the potential outcomes card. This card tells me a little bit about sort of where things may go, barring that nothing major changes, right? So this is not set in stone, but it is sort of like where things are naturally headed. It gives us an idea. If this is a negative card or something we don't want to have happen, we can utilize this card as a warning to make choices and changes in our lives so as to avoid this card coming to pass. This is the Hermit. So I don't feel like this is a bad card per se. I feel like this is us going inward. I feel like this is the Geminis taking their own information, their own knowledge base, and learning how to work with it, learning how to grow it. I love that you have this 4 of Cups as your center, and then you have this Hermit card as the ending. Like, it feels to me, when I look at this, is that whatever you guys want for yourselves, or whatever it is you're thinking, whatever New Year's resolutions you've put in place, whatever ideas that you have for creating a better space, a better life, a better experience for yourself, you have the skill set to do it. You have the direction, the drive to do it. What you need to do is sort of go inward and not allow the outside world to kind of make you waver in that faith, or make you question what you know to be true, because there is this deeper knowledge that in this 9 of Coins that I feel like is coming from the spirit that says, yes, indeed, we can have it. And at times I feel like the Geminis can hear it, but maybe your outside environment is showing you otherwise through other people's experiences. Don't allow that to happen, is what this Hermit card says to me. This Hermit card is all about going inward, finding one's own inner, like, sort of source of knowledge, trusting that knowledge, and really utilizing it to your own advantage, and grounding in that too. There's also this whole big tree here, and the brownness of this card makes me think of really grounding in that spiritual awareness and grounding in that knowledge of what it is you want and how that's going to feel, and then really believing that you can have that and making that come to pass, versus comparing your experiences or allowing sort of your outside environment to show you what you can expect. I hope that makes sense. That is your forecast for the month of January. Also check out your yearly and compare and contrast, you might be able to pull little bits of information or more clarity from that. And let me know what you think in the comments on YouTube once this video uploads, or let me know what you think in the comments on Facebook. I would greatly appreciate it. And now let's get on to my Libras. Sorry guys, I'm just needing to shuffle the cards till I feel that the answer is ready. Bear with me. I hope you guys have had a good New Year so far and a good holiday season. Okay, so this first card for my Libras, this is your center for the month of January. This shows us where you're going to be operating from most of the time. So this is the Hanged Man. This is Major Arcana. This has sort of got a big... Oh, hold on one second. You gotta go potty? Are you going to go pee? Okay. Call me when you're ready and I'll help you clean up, okay? Just call me when you're ready. Sorry guys, I'm watching my brother, and so he just had to go to the restroom. So this card is the Hanged Man, and this is a part of the Major Arcana, which I want to say that this means that this is sort of a significant lesson this month. There's something that we are attached to that we need to let ourselves go from. There's something that we need to understand, that whether we feel like we're stuck to it or that we can't make a decision or the answer doesn't seem very clear to us, that we at any point in time can release ourselves from it. Okay? There is this choice here. He has this free hand. He can reach up and untie himself and unhook himself. So anything that we might be carrying into 2020 from 2019 that we want to let go of, or that we feel maybe confused by, that's not offering us a lot of clarity, and this would be something rather significant is what I'm feeling like, because this is the Hanged Man card. It feels like, sorry if you can hear my brother straining in the bathroom. He's, he is disabled, so he can't go to the bathroom completely by himself, so excuse me for the noises in the background. This card would definitely... Are you okay, bud? You're alright? Are you finished yet, or not yet? This card would just show that there's a major amount of significance. This is what happens when you shoot a live video. This decision or this releasing of yourself from whatever this is that holds you back or ties you down or keeps you from being able to feel free is going to be significant this month. The next card is what I call the Foundation card. This card tells me a little bit about sort of what's been going on in the recent past that's led you up to this Hangman moment in the month of January. So this is the Five of Wands. Let me check on my brother. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Are you done? Or are you still moving? Still moving? Okay. Call me when you're ready, okay? Just be easy, okay? You don't have to force it. So this Five of Wands says to me that it feels like there was some sort of a struggle that was going on recently, probably in the last month or two. Something where you maybe had to... I feel like the struggle was more annoying than really, really challenging. Oh my God. The struggle was more annoying to me than really challenging, and the reason why I say that is there's these like little squirrels flying around this man, and it looks like he's batting at them as they're trying to steal his wands from him. So to me, it feels like we might have found ourselves giving ourselves our mental attention too much to situations that maybe were outside of our control or were bothersome or not really deserving of our attention. That might be exactly what's hung us up here with this Hangman card in the center here. But to me, I feel like this Hangman card is all about the opportunity to sort of let that go and walk away from it fully at this point, right? Versus this feels like to me like I would almost say that this is something that you guys have been dealing with for the last few months, where it's like this sort of round and around, here we go, the same old shit kind of goofiness that kind of, it's like you're done. It's time to let yourself free and set yourself apart from it. Now, the next card is your solar spirit card. I'm going to place this up here. This tells us a little bit about what your solar spirit is looking for or what it wants in the month of January for you. I love this. This is the King of Wands. Let me check on my brother. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Sorry, guys. Are you ready or are you still going? Are you ready? Are you finished? Let's stand up. Are you sure you're done? Alright, you alright? Alright, good job. Good job. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So this Knight of Wands being in the spirit, this King of Wands being in the spirit position says to me that it's really an opportunity. Spirit wants us to see us for who we truly are, see us for the grandeur that we are, see us for the beautiful spiritual beings that we are. When I look at this King, he's in repose, sort of admiring himself in the mirror. Kings always represent sort of like having gone through a lot of different maybe spiritual struggles or I say spiritual because it's the wand suit, and that's the element of fire, and the element of fire and represents the spirit. So we might have been sort of dealing with these little, annoyances or whatever these things were in this Five of Wands in the recent past, but where we're trying to get to is once we unhang ourselves from whatever it is that's bothering us, pulling our attention, that's no longer needed, that's no longer serving us, we're able to open the door to this idea of being able to sort of really acknowledge ourselves for who we are, the royalty that we actually are, the authenticity that we are, the strength that we have, the spiritual fortitude that we have, and really let that sort of sink in and become a reality. We start to realize that we are sort of this King of Wands character, and that there is this respect that we sort of not necessarily demand, but we deserve and we should receive. And so to me, this card speaks to that. That's the gift that your spirit wants you to realize in the month of January, is that you've been through some annoying times or some rough times. You've maybe even been stuck in a situation that's been driving you a little bit nuts. But once you figure out that you can unhook yourself and remove yourself from it, you can rise above it and reach that sort of King of Wands status. Now these next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These are things that can be people, sometimes events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us, either helping us or hindering us. Interesting. This Five of Coins was in the Geminis on the opposite side. And we have the Eight of Swords. Interesting. Both of you guys, the Geminis, have very similar cards. They have the Two of Swords. Okay, so I want to say this, guys. I feel like there's money problems. Oh, let me get my hand out of the way. I feel like there might be focus on money problems or issues coming up in the month of January around money. The idea of, I don't know why when I'm looking at this card I'm feeling like medical bills could be coming up for some of the Libras, or like unforeseen money stuff that might come up that might freak us out or make us feel that there's a scarcity of money. And then over here, with this Eight of Swords, I love this card she feels very empowered, but she feels sort of trapped by these Eight Swords, right? And even though she can't see, she's still swinging and all of these flowers are flying around her. There's a power to her here. But I do feel like she's sort of blindfolded. Like, and I think that this blindfold leads me back to this Hanged Man, where it's like we're not seeing the situation for what it really is. We're getting caught up, we've been caught up too much in like the I don't know, other people's details or other people's stuff, that we're not acknowledging our own power, our own strength. And so to me, these two cards feel like this is outside scenarios, possibly. This being around money, the possibility of medical stuff coming up, or I don't know why I'm feeling medical bills. Maybe there's a Libra out there that's going to get some unforeseen medical expenses or something that's going to maybe tax our pocketbook in January of 2020. But I really don't think we need to worry about that. I also get the feeling too, as I'm looking at this family too, that there's an opportunity here to be charitable for some of you. And so keep that in mind. Even if you sort of feel stuck or like you don't have a whole lot to give, you actually have more to give than you understand. And that's sort of this card here. She feels sort of penned in, trapped, blindfolded, but she's still swinging. She still hasn't given up. So to me, I feel like there is this fight that you guys need to give up this month. There is this whatever it is that is hanging you here, and this hangman needs to be let go of. You need to make a clear decision, a decisive decision, and like sort of, I feel like when you do that, the blindfold falls off. These swords, we can then remove the swords easily from the ground and move forward. But right now, like our world around us, our environment around us is telling us that we're stuck, that we maybe don't have the resources to be able to do what we want to do. And that's not true, because our spirit has this King of Wands up here. Our spirit really wants us to be able to wake up and realize that we can change our destiny. We can sort of choose to unhook ourselves and move ourselves forward. I hope that makes sense. So the next card is the potential outcomes card, and I always caveat this by saying that this card is a potential outcome barring that nothing major changes with the energy as it stands right now, right? So if this is a negative card, we can utilize this card as a warning to use it to make choices and changes to avoid this card happening, right? But if this is a beneficial card, we can take heart in the fact that this is sort of where it's naturally heading for most of the Libras. So this is the Page of Coins. When I look at this card, it's interesting to me because it feels like she is just running away from the bullshit. I like this card. I like that. I'm going to say this. Any Libras that feel like they're having money problems in 2020 or in January, you might be able to break free of them. I feel like she is definitely riding on this horse away from sort of this poverty-stricken family. But I also feel like there's lessons to be learned. There is a bucking horse that she's on, right? So she sort of feels like there's ways to learn and levels of mastery to be had here. We need to know that while we're going through this period during this month, that this is all an opportunity to learn. We're going to be more knowledgeable by the end of the month in the creation of whatever it is that we want. We may not exactly have it. That's the page aspect of this card to me. It doesn't feel like we will necessarily have it, but we will have a better opportunity and ability to sort of, instead of being this hanged man, we're actually on this bucking horse, like riding it, trying to figure out how to steer the horse, how to get ourselves where we want to go. So if my Libras are feeling a little bit up in the air right now, that's okay, you're supposed to. The whole focus to me when I'm looking at this reading is about finding that clarity, unhooking yourself, getting yourself down, out from feeling up in the air, and start to find a way and means to get mastery and control over what it is that you want and how it is you're going to go about getting it. This Page of Coins says to me that you will find the opportunities to do that. I'm not going to say that it's going to be perfect by month's end, but it is going to be at a place where you will be sort of back to feeling like you're more in control and steering the ship, and at least learning new ways of getting yourself there. and from that, that will be beneficial, and it will be less of a, it'll be like where he's fighting outside influences. I don't feel like she's fighting this horse. I feel like she is sort of learning how to work within the environment that she has, versus this guy, maybe my Libras have been struggling against the environment for the last few months. Now it's time to sort of get on with like sort of directing it more so than letting it affect us, if that makes sense. Alright, so I'm going to leave you guys with that and move on to Aquarius. Please give it a like, share, a comment, a subscribe. When it's fully uploaded, you can leave comments in the YouTube video, so that if you have questions, you know, you can always ask there and I'll respond if I can figure out the answer. And if anybody wants further insight, I'm available for private readings. All that information will be loaded into the description of the video on YouTube, or you can look at my Facebook business page. So this is for the energy of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for January of 2020. Okay, so this first card for the Aquarians is your sort of where you're at most of the month of January. So this is the Ten of Wands. A lot of Wands energy going on for all of my air signs. It's sort of interesting. We'll see how the rest of Aquarius plays out. But the Ten of Wands usually represents, to me, tens represent completion or the completion of a cycle. We might find ourselves coming to an end. Wands being the element of fire, there's a dynamic energy to it. There's a lot of hard work put in. This man is sort of like set up his wands into this water, into the like sort of the emotional pool, and it has like kind of grounded himself and made a way for him to be able to walk over whatever sort of maybe might have puzzled us emotionally at some point, whatever might have sort of stumped us or we didn't feel like we could conquer. To me, it feels like the Aquarians are going to actually come to a place of understanding that indeed you can conquer it in the month of January. Or at least coming to a place of stability and operating from that stability. That's the 10 aspect of this, and these wands where he's utilizing his spiritual strength to sort of move himself over this puddle, right, over this distraction, so to speak, and realize that he is bigger and stronger than this actual distraction is, right, or these emotions are, or whatever's going on for us emotionally. There is a strength here and a spiritual connectedness that is beautiful, and there's like almost a leveling up that's happening for the Aquarians. Now the next card is what I call the foundation card. This is sort of gives us a little insight into what's been going on in the recent past that's led us to this point. This is the Four of Swords. So I feel like, hello, let's slam the door shut. When I look at this card, first off, I have to say this is the element of air, which I like that this is your past card. It feels like we've had to cut ties. This fours always represent stability to me, right? Like the four legs on a table. But to me, with this knight with the shield right in front of it, it feels like we have just closed ourselves off to something like no more, no way, no day. And I feel like it's actually been a stabilizing effect. Like we've put on our armor, we've put up our shields, we've drawn our swords, and then we've drawn our boundaries, and it's very clear. And because of that, I think that's what brings about this spiritual strength in this Ten of Wands that we have as our center through the month of January, is because in the recent past, we've had to sort of clarify mentally and logically, and sort of clear our space of any debris, any bullshit that doesn't belong to us, maybe belongs to another person or situation or whatever. We've kind of shut the door on it. And there's a finality, I feel like, when I'm looking at this Four of Swords, which actually feels really sort of healthy and adult to me. So I don't know what's going on with my Aquarians that are watching or that have that do tune in, but let me know if that card makes any sense to you. Have there been situations that you've just sort of removed yourself from or stopped engaging in altogether, and because of that, has it allowed you this opportunity to feel stronger and grow into the new year with this renewed sense of hope, because that's sort of how I'm seeing these cards. Now I'm going to move this up here. The next card is the Spirit of Soul card. This tells me what your Spirit of Soul is after and what it's looking for in the month of January. Wow. Kick-ass card. So this is the Empress. The Empress always has to do with sort of like fertility. She's major arcana. She's not to be fucked with, right? Major Arcana always has a little extra pack, packs out a little extra punch. This being in your spirit space really says to me that there's some things that need to come forward for my Aquarians. There's like some energy that needs to be acknowledged. There's some creative energy that needs to be acknowledged. There's some, when I look at this Empress, I feel like I look at that moon up here that we have here. It says to me that there's an intuition here also too that needs to be acknowledged. There's things that we know and there's things that we have going on for us that we've maybe drawn the lines around with this Four of Swords that our spirit now wants us to really bring forth and manifest and live from with this Empress energy. This is a strong energy. This is no joke. Female intuition, Mother Earth, fertility. And I mean fertility not only in the sense of like childbirth, but I mean fertile like in the sense of creation, right? New ideas, strong, compassionate love, those sort of things, and bringing that forth from our spirit within ourselves and bestowing that upon ourselves. And when we've got that card backing us up from a spirit space with such a solid foundation with this stable Four of Swords, we have this beautiful. This is what's creating this space for this Ten of Wands, where it's this sort of, we're reaching a completion in the month of January. We're growing out of some sort of scenario that no longer works for us, that the Empress no longer has need for or doesn't want to entertain anymore. And we have every right to sort of move on to something bigger and better. Now the next two cards, and like apply those words to whatever situation it is in your life. I mean, there's multiple Aquarians that may be watching this, so these statements that I'm making can apply to a job, a lover. You know how it goes, right? These are broad spectrum readings for many people. The next two cards are what I call the outside influence cards. These cards tell me a bit about sort of what things are going on around us that we need to be made aware of. They can be people, sometimes events or belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us, both either positively or negatively, and we need to be made aware of them. So you have the Page of Coins on one side of you, and you have the Hermit on the other. So I'm going to say this, my Aquarians. If you feel like life is starting to get a little bit hectic for you, that would be this Page of Coins. I feel like, and this might be on a more material level, like things might feel a little bit rough or a little bit wanting to get out of control, or situations. To me, when I look at the strength of this Four of Swords, this Ten of Wands, and this Empress here, I feel like we're unrockable in the month of January, but there might be situations that want to try and rock us, right? This bucking horse makes me feel like there might be things that show up in the month of January that want to sort of grab our attention and make us nervous or make us worry. But I don't think that they are going to be strong enough with these three cards through the center. The other card here on the outside is the Hermit, and the interesting thing about this card is this is also Major Arcana. It's a very strong card, and this is speaking about going in, meditating, centering oneself, really getting into your knowledge and knowing who you are and what you're made of. There's opportunities for that as much as there's opportunities to get caught up in the chaos of the material world and allow yourself to get tossed around. So you really get a choice this month. Do I go inward and use my strength and harness this Empress energy and utilize the quiet moments to really reflect and become stronger? Or do I allow myself to get sort of knocked around, which I don't feel like you will, most of my Aquarians, just because these three cards here to me feel so strong and set that I feel like we're good, but don't be surprised if some stuff jumps out at you in the mid-month or whatever that maybe was unexpected or surprising and might cause a little bit of like alarm or worry. That's when you counterbalance that with this sort of energy of the Hermit and bringing that in and getting centered and grounded and allowing that to be your reality. Now this last card is the potential outcomes for the month for the Aquarians. This is always potential in the sense that barring that nothing major changes, this is where sort of the energy is heading as it stands right now. But we have the power to, through free will, to make choices and changes. If this card is negative or something we don't want to see happen, we can make choices and changes to affect this outcome. So this is the King of Coins. Interesting. I feel like this is sort of like a getting back on financial track by the end of the month. Whatever this might be, if there's a slight mishap, I feel like this Page of Coins, there might be some sort of financial or material mishap or something that we don't see coming that kind of maybe snatches our attention. But if we handle it correctly, we stay strong, we're going to end out the month at this King of Coins, which I feel like he is knowledgeable, he is balanced, he is sort of sitting at ease, he's studying, he's learning, he's sort of he knows what he needs to have the things that he wants in his life. And with this Empress card, this Ten of Wands, and this Four of Swords, that's that strength that I see through these three cards. So I think that all of these three cards and the sort of the access to this Hermit energy, if we utilize it, it brings us to this space by month's end of this King of Coins where we feel balanced, knowledgeable, able to create the things that we want in our life, and really like, you know, formulate a plan about going forward and having that. So keep that in mind for this month of January. I hope that all makes sense. I hope that gives you insight. Again, I'm always available for private readings. If you're interested, just reach out. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month. And have a great January. All right, bye-bye.